Hello, everyone. I'm Susan Thornton, Chair of Immigrant Pathways Colorado, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here tonight to this conversation, a very special conversation with noted Colorado author Connie Shoemaker. As many of you probably know, Immigrant Pathways Colorado is a community-supported nonprofit that we make small self-development grants to immigrants, refugees, and asylees, people who are documented, that means they are in the country legally, and they have very low income. These are grants for things like learning English, applying for citizenship, training to be a medical or dental or pharmaceutical assistant, training to get a commercial driver's license or a real estate appraiser's license. The grants are really all over the board, and they're from people so far from 27 different countries. But they're all intended to raise the family's standard of living and make people feel more involved and invested and part of the community. We also provide scholarships for immigrant students that are studying at Arapahoe Community College. We depend on donors like you to help us help support these people who are building a better life for themselves. So thank you again for joining us. It's now my pleasure to introduce our speaker for this evening. Connie Shoemaker is the award-winning author of Taste the Sweetness Later, Two Muslim Women in America. The book is the 2020 winner of the Colorado Book Award for General Nonfiction. Connie is also Secretary of the Board for Immigrant Pathways Colorado and is co-founder of Spring International Language Center in Littleton. She's going to introduce Nisren, one of the courageous women that are featured in her book. Our technology host for this evening you're seeing right now is Julia Guzman, a talented immigration attorney and also a board member of Immigrant Pathways Colorado. And she's going to run the technology for the meeting tonight. So take it away, Julia and Connie.
Hello, I'm just here to run stuff. If you have any questions or comments, if you'd like to put it in the chat there at the bottom, the little speech bubble that says chat, click on there and we will be checking that to see if anybody has questions or if you need anything, just message me. Thanks.
Thank you, Susan, for the introduction. Excuse me. I would like to say hello to our old Immigrant Pathways friends and welcome to new ones. I see a wonderful list of people and I hope you'll really participate tonight and have questions to add to the conversation. Before we start and introduce Nisren, I'd like to frame the discussion a bit for those who haven't read the book. Why did I write the book? I had just finished a life review book with my mom. And through that life storytelling, I discovered all kinds of things that increased our relationship and helped me to understand her better and to bridge that gap between us. And I wanted to apply that to something that would have a broader appeal. And at that time, there was a developing chasm in the United States between us and them. And that chasm, of course, has widened to a huge divide. And it was the fear of other persons that really bothered me, persons of a different color, religion, the way they dressed, politics, social class, gender, anything that divided people into two groups that did not care for each other, did not understand each other. And it occurred to me that one way to bridge that gap is to better know the other person and to become acquainted with them. And that's not easy when you don't have, for example, friendship with a Muslim woman. You don't really know that person and find the things to celebrate the common things and understand the things that are different. So that was my purpose, to try to show other people have the experiences that I've had over 40 years of living in the international community and working with refugees, immigrants, and international students. So the how, well, I happened to know both women before the decision to write their stories. And I spent about 250 hours time recording interviews with them, and I used many of their life review questions. Nisren was already in the United States. She was had received one of the Littleton Integration's grantees her husband had. So she was here, and that was handy because she was the perfect subject to include. The other person in the book you won't meet tonight, her name is Iman. She's a Libyan student at Spring International, a bright woman who was a wonderful language learner, and teachers kept saying, you can't believe she comes from a family of 23 children, and she herded sheep, and now she wants to get a master's degree at the University of Colorado. So this is the other woman, and I hope someday we'll have the chance to read about her and meet her. Both women in the book are Muslim. Nisren is Shia and Kurdish, a Kurdish minority. And Iman is Sunni, living in a country that's almost completely one branch of Islam, Sunni. Both of them are living under really brutal dictators, Saddam Hussein for Iraq, Muammar Gaddafi for Libya, and both were in the US with different goals. Iman was here by choice on a student visa and a scholarship from her government with the goal of returning home to help develop Libya. Nisren came by necessity. She came to escape, to help her family and her escape and her husband from assassination. Her husband, Rod, had been an interpreter for the US government, and his twin brother, who was doing the same interpretation, had been assassinated, and his life was in danger. And so the way out was to have a special visa for interpreters and to have a sponsor. And by chance, the sponsor was Colonel Joe Rice, a former House representative in Littleton. And he was there with the National Guard and the Army and had met Rod and knew about his situation. And Joe said to Rod, well, you could go to Littleton, Colorado. Colorado. As Nisren will say, we didn't know what Colorado was, where it was, or anything about it. But they arrived here. And our immigrant group, who was just forming, trying to help immigrants one at a time, this was our first attempt. And Joe said, I can't be there. Would you guys just meet them at the airport, maybe help find a job, help find an apartment, help them get settled? And we thought, there's just 3 of us right now, but we'll do it. And we did, and it was a wonderful experience for us, and it was some help for Nisren and her family also. Just a quickie before you meet Nisren, so we can get on the road here. She was born in Baghdad in 1979, the same year that Saddam Hussein took over as president of Iraq. Her family grew to 7 children. She was born into a Kurdish family, which is an ethnic minority in Iraq. Only about 15 to 20% of the population are Kurdish. It's not a religion. It's an ethnic minority, and the majority are Shiite, some are Sunni. There actually is a Christian component. And it has its own language, an Indo-European language. Our father lived in the Kurdish north of Iraq and fought with Kurdish troops. He was captured, managed to escape prison or execution to flee to Baghdad, and that's where the family began. So I'd like to introduce Nisren, and I'd like to ask her a big question here. What's it like to be in a minority, to be in the Kurdish minority?
Hi, everyone. My name is Nisren. The feeling of being minority and different, it's hard because first I'm Kurdish in my country. When I've been in Iraq, it was hard because when I've been in Baghdad, they don't accept us like being part of them. When I went, because I'm born in Baghdad and my father married in Baghdad, when I went to the North Iraq, was the part of the Kurdish people, they either don't accept me because they say I'm from Baghdad, I'm Arab, I'm not Kurdish. It's been always hard to me to understand which way I'm from, but what I accept, I'm Kurdish, I'm from Iraq. and this I'm here. This is my home too. This is my new home, my family home too.
And Nisren, I remember when we were talking together, you told me about a memory you had about being, as a child, probably only 3 or 4, in a roundup of the Kurds. What was that all about?
First, when where we lived, where I remember in my childhood, we've been around people in different culture, and Kurdish and Christian, and even and have my neighbors Jewish. We lived together, and the first years of what I remember, 6 or 5 years, we've been playing together, eating together, go outside together, nothing problem. And then the problem coming up and up and up in different time, and every time we growing up, there was a problem. Where are you from? What's your religion? If you Shia or Muslim? And Saddam was like dividing us in different ways. So that was the problem too. That make us like dividing us and be scared of some group. You are not from this group. If you've been in this group or this regime, you've been in good shape and good health and good life. And if we be Kurdish or you've been Shia, you've been in a different situation in your life and how you live.
You had a wonderful mother, very strong woman who kept the family together when your father was almost blind and couldn't work. And I remember how closely she monitored you. She was very careful with you, giving you some freedom, but also she would tell you certain things when you went out to play for the hour or 2 you were allowed out. What were some of those things she told you?
Well, she, first of all, she always give us hand watch when we go outside. She give us time, like an hour and a half to play. And she told us exactly the time we came back. If I don't come back, she gonna punish us or something. And we've been happy with that. And we go outside to play and do stuff. And always encourage us, like me and my sisters and my brother. I have one oldest than me, and others is younger than me. And she always give me the idea what I want to do. If she never told me you have to pray, she never told me you have to wear this. She never. It's always is up to me, and she always talked to me nicely, and she was tell me what I have to do. If sometimes in the summer, I remember she give me the opportunity to have my own money. She helped me do stuff, and in my time when I like to play or do stuff, like if I have 1 hour and a half, maybe half an hour, I can get money. She made me stuff at home, cooking stuff, sweet or something, and I can take it out to sell it, and I get money. The money, it was my for me, and I can do whatever I want with it. And I love what she teach me that.
I also remember the don'ts she told you, and I'll just tell you what those were. You know them, but don't go past the apartment building next door.
Yes.
Don't listen to any talk about Saddam.
Yes.
Don't bring any talk back from the street to the house.
Yes.
No conversation or bad words.
Yeah.
What did you have to say when people asked you what you thought about Saddam?
I always say I love him. He is my hero. He is our hero. He's Arab hero. We love him. He is the first father for us. He is the strong man, nothing wrong with him. We're not allowed to talk any bad thing outside the home, either if we are inside. When I hear my parents, when they talk, they say, don't talk. There is someone hear you. The walls is gonna hear you. There is someone here gonna listen to you and hear you. Don't talk.
This amazed me because it was like something you memorize. And if someone just in passing says, what do you think about Saddam? This was something she memorized to say to save her and save her family.
Yeah, either is when I grow up and I get married, I have kids there, my daughter there, she born there in Iraq, and my younger, oldest son, he was born in Iraq. It's natural go to them. I didn't teach her to say I love Saddam or something. Every time when he is always in the TV. We don't have anything to watch except him. And when he popped in the phone in the TV, she was like 2 or 3, 4 years. She was running to the TV and kiss him. I'm laughing, but it's hurt.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Another thing that I learned from both you and Iman, and I haven't ever really heard the phrase used, and it was eyes are watching.
Yeah.
I started thinking about that, and this was so prevalent in the culture that you always felt someone was watching you. I remember you told me about being in school and being a little worried about saying anything with your school friends.
Yes. We've been wearing talked about him. There was a group. They took who is talking, who has a good talking with the students, who is a good talker, who is has smart, he has a good education or something. They tried to put them in Saddam regime. They said it's some kind of, name it like Tala or something, and they choose the students with the teachers, and being like part of his regime. They say Hizbi or something. If you don't like it, you're not optional. If they choose you, that's it. You being part of them, and you have to listen and watch other students and watch other teachers what they talk, and you have to write it down and give them writing or even the sound and the some little sound, and you have to record it, what they say, what they see, what you see, how they talk about it. You have to have all this, what time, and you have to give it to them. It's not optional. If they choose you, you have to be with them. One time I remember my father, they choose my father because he was in the beginning was working in like a magazine or a newspaper. He was working there as things help them with the newspaper, and he was has a tall man with the little muscles and things. They choose kind of like those people. And my father, he has always problem with his eyes. He say, I can see well. I would love to do that. I remember all my family was scared. My mom was scared. How he can say, no, I can't do that. He doesn't like to do that. He doesn't want to do it. And he has already passed being a fighter with the Kurdish group, and they know about that. And he said, no, I have so many problems. I cannot hear well. I've been in a dangerous situation. I can hear or see well. So I love to help, but I couldn't. So he said that.
The other word for this is spies everywhere, basically, and living with that, not being able to talk freely, even in your home, which is I was so impressed with your family. As things got harder, your family became even more important. It was your shelter, your protection. And I was thinking the other night that you told me as you had to move during the sanctions, and we'll talk about that later, US-UN sanctions, but during the sanctions, and you had to move frequently from an apartment that you enjoyed with several of your family in different apartments in the building. And then at one point you got a house and you built a wall around it to protect you. And I was thinking that the wall that was around you throughout this whole experience was your family. It was your protection, your shelter. And the wall you built around this house, you were joined by other family members. You had grandparents there, I think, and an uncle, and a lot of people in a tiny little house and very close together. And I always thought when I talked to you that this would be really sad. And you would always turn to me and say, oh no, Connie, this is where I really got close to my sister. We slept together on the floor, and we had such a close relationship. And that's one thing I have to say about Nisren, is that she always looks at the positive side of things, which is amazing to me. The wars, you lived through a bunch of them. Saddam Hussein had a talent for waging war.
Yeah.
And in it was the war with Kuwait, Operation Desert Storm, Iran, Iraq, one war after another. And what happened through these wars, of course, were sanctions that came in when the US and the UN got involved. And what did those sanctions mean to you in your daily life, in your house, when you couldn't buy things, and
Yeah, we couldn't have enough food for us. And I remember when I came from school, before we go, we don't have breakfast to eat. So we go to school and we don't have money to spend to buy anything from school or like a snack or something. We stay, we have afternoon coming in the noon, like 12 or 1 o'clock, and it's the first morning. Then when they end, we came back and we stay, like we don't eat until like around 5 or 6. We have just one meal, and it's just like a bread or something, like little vegetables, like a pickle or like a cucumber or something with it, and or yogurt. We don't have enough money, or just rice at night. We just have that for a whole day, and we have to wait to the next day. I remember either we start selling like our refrigerator to buy food. We don't have so many people. We cannot say we don't have money. Our neighbors, they would be nice. They knocking on door when they see us selling our fridge or our things in the home. My father, he always say, no, I sell this because it doesn't work. Oh, I don't need it. He never say I need money or we need money or something. But I remember of our neighbor, they are very nice with that. Nobody cares, like in government or something. They don't think. I remember at that time when he has Saddam has his birthday, he has like giant cake, and we either don't have like little bit sugar at home or little bit flour at home. So many hungry people. So if you have a baby, so many babies dying, there is no milk. There is no medicine if they get sick. I just listened 2 days ago about the documentary about him, about how the hospital was. I remember I have little sisters too in that time. And when we went to get her medicine or something, there is no medicine for Tylenol, for fever or something. They told us, just we cannot do anything to you. Just take her home, do the wet towel on her face, and don't keep her like in water or something. There is no electricity too. It was too hot, and she was has a fever. I have to take her upstairs in the air and put her in the shower, cold shower. It was hard. We almost lost my younger sisters. So many people lost their families. There is no medicine, there is in hunger and all these issues.
As I recall, that was during the Gulf War, and you were about 12.
Yes.
Your mom had the baby,
yeah.
and you were the caregiver. You were the one who cared for the baby.
Yeah.
And of course,
I have to stay home because I quit school 1 year because I have to stay home to take care of my younger sisters. And because my mom at that time, she was working at home. She's doing bread and sell it. We have one brother, when he came back from his school, he take the bread outside, sell it. When my brother has to go to school, I have one sister, she was taking the bread outside and sell it. because at that time my father, he cannot see. He was like blind, and we don't have money to take him to the hospital, or there is nothing help him with the medication, and he needs surgery, they said.
Right. I had never thought much about the other end of sanctions, but I think the picture that this painted was dire. And actually more than 46,000 children died during the Gulf War period, which was January to August of 1991, 46,000 children. Happy things happened too. You got married, you had a daughter, Noor, and a son, and Muhammad. So some happy times. And if you read the book, you can read about those happy times too. Then I'm going to skip ahead to the U.S. invasion of Iraq in 2003. I think you were about probably 24 then or something, and you
21, 22.
Yeah, okay, like that, yeah. And of course, the U.S.-led coalition invaded Iraq, toppled Saddam Hussein's government, and your husband was just at the front of this whole thing and happily welcoming the U.S. troops.
Everyone loved them. Everyone wants to get up Saddam. It's a freedom. It's a new life for everyone. Everyone, I remember they been shouting outside, yes, welcome, and all this stuff. And they were happy. They were happy. They have like a celebration, big celebration. When I here we've been in not Baghdad at that time, because they say it's gonna be like dangerous if you've been in the middle of center. They took to my husband or my family, I took be with them outside the Baghdad and around Baghdad in the area. And when we didn't know, there is no electricity, there is no TV, there is no news, but we hear the people who is like in Saddam regime that just left. They left their clothes. We see them in the morning, they left the clothes, they left the guns, and they just disappeared. And all the people, they was surprised and they were happy. Everyone shouted, they sing, they clap, and they have a big celebration. They gone.
And then what happened was that Rod kind of became a leader, and he was chosen to serve as an interpreter. And that developed into something very official. And so he worked with the U.S. Army for how many years? Maybe
more than 6 years before.
More than 6 years.
Yeah.
And what happened to the happiness of all the people with the U.S. Army? And
it's been a year. After a year, I remember it's Muqtada Sadr. It's one of the leader of the region. He came. He was out of Baghdad. He just came. I don't remember if he was in Iran or something. He came back. He said, everyone is with the USA Army. They are not here to help us. They are here to take everything you need. They here to steal your ground. They here to hate. They gonna do. He pushed so many things on their people minds, and they have like a brainwash. So many groups, big groups, they follow him, and they say, yes, he's talking right, and they've been against USA Army. They've been against anyone in touch with USA Army. Like my husband, he was working interpreter. Anyone talk with them, they want being in target for them. They kill them. They suicide them. They do everything they can to hurt their family, them, and it was dangerous to be there anymore.
And then, of course, Rod, your husband was a twin.
Yeah.
And his twin brother was also an interpreter. Yeah. He was assassinated.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
And they see he's getting out from his work. So they follow him back home when he get out from his location work, and they see him and they know him. They try to kidnap him first, because if they kidnap one, they're gonna get more names, more people knows. But he just driving, and when they see they cannot catch him, so they shot guns on him, and he just passed away. It was a hard time.
And that was kind of the trigger that led to Rod getting this special interpreter visa to come to the United States.
Yeah, we didn't think first to do that, but after this, and he has another brother, he's older than him. He was actually working too as a interpreter first, and he get like a message. And Rad, he get message too. We been live first. Because we live in the same name with his family, and the first year we've been talking. He is working with the U.S. Army. He's an interpreter. If you need anything, if you need help, he can help. So everyone in the neighbor, they know. So one night, they shot some bullets on our windows at night, and that was the message. And they put the message on the door too. They said, you are like a coward, or working with the people we don't like. You're not welcoming here. You are the next. So we have to move. First, Rad, we have to take him out from the house, and he been in a month not with us. And then we look for. We did look for another house. Me and him. We spent times like a month or 2 months with his sister house. They don't know anyone where she lived. Then we have to move every 6 months, every 7 to 6 months. I have to change where I live. If anyone I feel our neighbors, they keep talking, or I hear or see, they ask me, what is your husband working? I cannot say what he was working. So when they start being curious or asking, I have just to move.
I was amazed at how strong you were in these moves. And I know that you had a lot of fear too, and pushed things up against the door at night and all that.
Yeah.
Let's kind of fast forward to when Rod told you that you were going to the United States. What were your first thoughts?
Well, I was happy because I wasn't scared. I wasn't think about what I am gonna get a new life, how I can live. I just was happy because I'm gonna save him and save my family. I can you not imagine, sometimes he has to be in his work at night. I couldn't sleep at that night even when he is home. We just like take a turn, who's wake, who's go sleep, to watching the door, to hear any bumping things, to wake up. It was so dangerous to live anymore there. It was like being on, like how we say, on your nerve. It wasn't like when being in an airplane. When I get here in the first day, it was like a new life. We born new one. My kids, they born here. I feel everything is a new. I can get here feeling. We just first night that we get here, I remember I cannot open my eyes. We slept on the car ways to the hotel. We slept on the car. In the car we slept. We feel relieved, and we just wake up on the 5 in the morning. Oh my God, it was so nice. It's when you breathe the air. I just remember how it smell, how it's like alive. I cannot how explain it that, but it was the happy moment for me and for my kids.
I want to go back to the idea of being Muslim in a world where there are only 1% in the United States. Did you settled in? I know you were terribly homesick, but also as time went on, you had some problems with being the other. what were some of the things that happened that weren't very nice for you and your family?
Well, in many years, I have been here since 10, more than 10 years. In the beginning, I wasn't having any problem. And then in the end, before this Joe Biden, so we have a president, Donald Trump, when I feel more violent gets against Muslim people. And when I went once, I remember in the beginning when he been president on the supermarket, King Super, the usually one I go. It's not the first time for me I go there, but I feel the look for people, they look at me is different. Either the security, I don't know why he's following me. He was following me everywhere I go, and at that time I was scared. I did something wrong? I just get in. I didn't touch anything or do anything, and at that time I wasn't have my citizenship, so I couldn't speak. I thought if now I can stand and speak and ask him what's wrong, why you follow me. I don't do anything wrong. It's my right to be here. What's wrong or something? And some couple peoples on the cars when we driving around or go somewhere, they give me fingers up and they shouted at me. They say, "Go back home, go to your home. Why you wearing this? You terrorist," or you some stuff like that. Either my son, the oldest, because his name Mohammed, they called him a terrorist. So he gets bullied too from his school. When he was young, never at first we didn't get anything like that. But there's nice people too. There's so many nice people. I still love here. It's my home. Since we get here, the first day we get in Colorado, we've been in Littleton. I never moved. So I'm just in the same area, in the same street. We just moved from apartment to house, duplex house, in the same street. I love being here. And there is so many nice people, and I have a neighbor. When one times I feel homesick, I remember her, I was talking with my family crying, and my other neighbor, he was get mad about that. He keep yelling at the door. He came out. The woman next door to me, the other one, she stand up for me and she said, "Oh, come on, we have to support her. She's been here. She's feeling homesick. You not should yelling at her." Some nights I never forgot that. And at first day, I don't know if we have time to talk about that. I appreciate a lot of people help me from Pathway. They help me so much with my family, with all the staff, with what we need, home, clothes. We just have like what we wear and couple of things, clothes, home, furnitures, everything we need. They stand up for us. I don't know, whatever I say is not enough. Whatever I have a word, I think it's not enough to thank everyone who has helped us with everything here.
It's a perfect note to stop on and shows you how positive this woman can be. I'd like to open it up for questions about any parts of Nisren's life, and then she can tell us in a few minutes what her family's doing now, what the kids are doing. So if you have questions, please.
I don't see anything in the chat, but if anybody there wants to type something in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself and say something.
I want to know where all you've had your schooling.
She asked, where did you go to school?
Me?
Yeah.
I finished just high school in Iraq, in my country, and been trying to be in here, finished my degree, and I liked, well, I thinking when my son is going back to school, I love to be either study for nurse or being like some, like I like to salon things, style hair or something to work with that too. Maybe being a nurse or something like that. I like to
Wow.
finish my degree.
Thank you.
I might mention that she did study at Bemis Library. She didn't have much time when they came. She had to get the kids in school and do a number of things, but she did do the classes at Bemis that were very helpful to her.
Yes.
Kind of a crash course in English. And then her kids have gone on to school, and we might mention what they're doing. What's Noor doing?
Noor, she is now in the third years of college. She in the CU Denver. She try to, and she's in try to be a dentist. And she loved to do that. And my older son, he is in the first year in college. He loves computer things. He always not in his mind. Sometimes he say, I'm gonna be engineering computers or program computers or some kind of things. And the other days he's talking to be a business or some kind of all these things. He's not in his mind. The youngest one, he born here. He's 8 years old and he's in second grade. His name is
East Elementary School.
And we do have a few questions in the chat now, and one of them applies to your children. So that question was, how old were your children when you arrived, and have the schools helped them to feel welcome and help them to adapt?
Yeah, that's the big part for worried about my husband and me was worried how they gonna fit here. How they didn't speak. First of all, my daughter was 8. My son was 6. He just finished the first year in Iraq. My daughter, she finished 4th grade. But when we get here, they say, no, she has to be in 4th grade again and study 4th grade. The school here is amazing. They help them so much. Field Elementary and the teachers that are amazing. They are amazing. They took them one by one with a teacher and they couldn't speak anything, nothing, either yes or no. By the way, me too, first when I get here, but they work with them and they are, oh my God, when I see my daughter, she speak now, or my oldest son, I cannot, some word I cannot understand, they have to explain it to me so many times.
You sound great though. There's a couple of other questions. One, you may not know, I don't know if you know the answer, but are there still interpreters that haven't been allowed to come to the US? That one, I don't know if you know.
Yeah, after Donald Trump be president, is getting harder. I think now I hear some people, they again apply because they say maybe it's open now to come or something. Before that, there is so many people come. If they have paper proof, they've been working with the USA Army or something, they can come. It was easy. I hope other people's, I know how they feel there. It was hard to come. I hope they can now come if there are more people there.
Another question is there a mosque nearby that you are able to attend?
First, when we came here, to be more, I'm talking truth. When we came, we don't want to touch with any kind of Arabic people. We didn't like to, we still have little fear or little close up on ourselves. And after a while, we feel homesick. Me and the kids and my husband either. We look for mosque or something, community, Arabic community or Iraqi community to engage with them. After we get there, actually now we not being there anymore. because I don't know how to explain that, but we think our thinking, how we think is different, and we not in being fitting with them. We didn't like to be anymore in a religion group or things, so we been home. We not contact with any. We have some family who has same idea, and I'm pretty sure they're not going there anymore. So being in the home, we in touch with them and we talk on a phone or something, their friend, Arabic friend or something, but not either like in religion stuff or something.
Great, thank you. There's another one, but I'm going to let Ann Bennett, she has her hand raised if she wants to ask her question.
Nisren, I'm so glad that you came tonight, and I wanted to know if you could tell us a little bit about the process you went through to become a citizen.
Yeah, that's a good question.
The process that's a good question. Thank you. The process first, I have to get my English right. I've been in a library. I love BMS library. They help me so much. And even until this day, before the corona, I've been volunteering there to help the library with some stuff and things. They help me a lot. I have to have my English. I have to figure out how to speak and listen or do stuff. And then with my grammar and things. And then I get when I feel comfortable with my English and understand, after 5 years, can apply for my citizenship. I did, and we wait a little bit until we get there, and they give us like study papers and things, and every time we study about things about history of America or things of presidents, of rules, of things, and we did study, me and my husband, about that. And we apply and we accept, and we just did the test. It was not that hard to get our citizenships. Yeah.
And that leads perfectly into the other question that's in the chat, which is, how did your husband and brother learn English, and was it taught in the Iraqi schools? So is it just at the BMS, or did they also know some English coming in?
My husband, he's working interpreter. Actually, in our class and back home in the school, they give us some English, but we never practice it. We never talk, we never practice, we never write. It's just like the teacher say ABC or something like that. And but from the movies, he watching a lot of English movie, American movie. He learned words. He knows how to speak. I think it's from the movies and from so many movies he watched. He knows how to speak, and that helped him a lot. Every time he went to the work with the USA Army, he has a little notebook. I see how he's writing some stuff. He doesn't understand it, and he's translated. And every time when he came back home, I saw that, and that's give me the idea when I came here. When I don't understand anything, I translate it to Arabic, then to English, and I find it the correct things, and that's how I learned too.
But they didn't teach it in the schools in Iraq?
No, they didn't teach us that much. They just give you ABCs or question and answer. There is no chance for dialogue or talking or big conversation or making words or making some special things. There is nothing like that. It wasn't that help until you get in. I think until you get to the college there or something specific, like a language college or something, you can get all these hard things, like how vocabularies, how to do the grammars or something.
Thank you. Well, that's it for what we have in the chat. I don't know if Connie or Susan has any additional remarks.
I would just like to read a conclusion that Nisren came to, if I could do that. Just a minute here, I think I do. I asked Nisren toward the end of the interviews about how she dealt with the fear that was part of, actually, I think she experienced some PTSD in coming here, and that fear continued. And as you said, you'd wake up at night even here and be afraid again. But I loved what she said at the end, and this is a quote from her. Every night before I go to sleep, I think about everything and thank God I got here and that my family is safe. I see my kids and my husband next to me, and I don't want anything else from life.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Susan? Susan's muted, but if you want to, ask us to unmute. There we go.
That is very beautiful. And I just thought this whole discussion was so interesting and very moving. And Nisren, it's so good to see you again.
Good.
And know your kids are doing so well.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank Connie, and thank Julia. If you found this conversation as interesting as I did, please, support Connie, and by buying a copy of her book or copies of her book. You can get those through Amazon.com or at the Tattered Cover. And also, please consider donating to Immigrant Pathways Colorado. You can go to our website. There's the book cover. Very nice. You can go to our website, which is www.connectingimmigrants.org, and click on Colorado Gives, or you can send a check to us at PO Box 401, and the zip is 80160. Please also keep watch for the coming announcement of Immigrant Pathways' amazing new and delicious international cookbook, Together at the Table, Recipes from Our Cultural Heritage. And both Connie and Nisren have recipes in that book. And so it really is going to be wonderful. And we'll get the announcement out soon because we expect it to be delivered about mid-April. So thank you very much for joining us tonight, and happy St. Patrick's Day just a little bit in advance. Stay well.
And you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
you.
for having me and listening to me. Thank
That's
you.
great.
Thank you.